Hello, my astrology friends and family. This is Lada from AstroladaOfficial here with the October 2022 video horoscopes for each of the 12 signs. And I'm calling October the month of the turning point month. Why is that? Because three planets are turning direction. At the beginning of the month, Mercury is turning direct in Virgo. Later on, Pluto is turning direct in Capricorn. Into towards the end of the month, on the 23rd, Saturn is turning direct in Aquarius, and at the very end of the month, the last 3 days, Mars is turning retrograde in Gemini. Crazy stuff. Why is that? When planets are turning direction, and so many at the same month, within 30 days, 4 planets, guys, are gonna turn direction. It's a pivotal time when events in our life also turn around, when events in the world also start changing. You'll see it will make a big difference this month. And the month ends with a big bang. First starts with Mercury turning direct, Pluto, Saturn, usually planets turning direct lead to things improving or becoming easier, more according to plan, not needing so much effort. So in many areas of your life, in at least 3 or 4 areas of your life, the beginning of the month up to the 20th, 24th, 5th, there will be things that becoming easier gradually, you'll notice. And in the world as well. But at the end, Mars is turning retrograde. This is when things become a bit more complicated for the whole world. And an eclipse. Eclipses always are a bit of a crisis period. And I'm going to talk a quick summary of what this means for the whole world. And then we're going to go into the 12 signs. But before I go, I want to make an announcement that we're making a big discount on all courses of the late great astrologer Nicola Stojanovic, who passed away last year. He is the most incredible astrologer with the most precise predictions I've ever seen. What we're going through right now, he predicted it on videos. The proceeds will go to his daughter, who is trying to continue his work and is trying to bring out more books that he was ready to publish. Hopefully this will help her with her work in more classes that he did. But the only classes that are ever available from Nicola Stojanovic, with the most incredible astrology method that I've seen, that he developed himself with precision that people thought he was psychic, is and very easy as well, is available only on astrolada.com, and we're making 30-40% discount on his courses for the next couple of weeks to 3 weeks. But now let's continue. First, Mercury turns direct, and initially at the very beginning of the month in Virgo is becoming visible. It might be quite good for the markets. It might be quite good for anyone from the beginning of the month who wants to publish, to write, to be heard. With businesses will improve, complications connected to communications will improve, connected to papers, to documents, will learning, will become, and any kind of communications and relationships generally should improve with the people around you. But very good for anything that is written, spoken, business, marketing, and so on, to publish, to put it out there. And then Pluto turns direct. Some internal or external power struggles will start getting resolved, especially with authority figures, because it's in the sign of Capricorn. And then on the 23rd, Saturn becomes direct. But it means Saturn is stationary the whole month. And pretty much Mars is also stationary. It looks like they're sitting in one space. Mars in Aquarius, Mars in Gemini, Saturn in Aquarius, holding a trine actually, which is good. So it might feel like some areas in your life are kind of stuck, that they're not moving, but it's almost like the quiet before everything turns around. There is like a peaking and it reaches a final level where it can't carry on like that, and then it reverses. But maybe because Saturn is in the sign of Aquarius, there might be certain important reversals, turning points about society, about any kind of restrictions imposed on society, that it might be like a final reversal of such matters. And that's the last time Saturn is retrograde, actually, in Aquarius, by the way. So any kind of restrictions imposed in society maybe should be reversed. Maybe some kind of new laws that can be created starting from the end of the month. and some kind of society overall in the economy. This is the economy. Any kind of limitations that were like restrictions and so on should be also reversed all over the world, hopefully. But then when having Mars turning retrograde towards the last 3 days, 4 days of October in Gemini, and retrograde means it starts moving backwards. And I'm hoping for retrograde planet also means things kind of being reined in a little bit. So I'm really praying that Mars in Gemini symbolizes fighting between brothers, fighting between neighbors, fighting between relatives. And we're seeing what's happening in Azerbaijan and Armenia, Russia, and Ukraine. Neighbors versus neighbors, states after state for states. I hope that it's some kind of a reversal in that direction, or reining in, or turning of direction in the wars that are being led right now between brotherly countries. So maybe if one is taken over now, there might be a change of direction who is taken over when the planet reverses happens. Plus, over the next 3-4 months after that, Mars retrograde can deepen the problems, but kind of with more cautionary approach, while they're being re-examined, and a lot of truth starts coming out about those problems. But the big thing is also the eclipse that is happening on the 25th. Eclipse season is starting from October. You can be felt even before, a month before that. And there will be next one is in November. It's happening at the beginning degrees of Scorpio. New moon eclipse, something new with the south node. And it's very crisis prone, this eclipse, because it's in Scorpio, is the sign of crisis. Something sudden, unexpected, something that is removed from our lives, that is released because it's the south node, but only to make space for something new, which is Venus, indicated by Venus and the planet. And when there is a good planet, like we say, benefic with an eclipse, like Francis said, the ancients said that the malevolence or the difficulty of eclipses is decreased, or it's neutralized in some sense. So yes, it can create some crisis that happens around the world, but it will have like a silver lining in it, or in your own life as well. Early born Scorpios, early born Tauruses, early born Leos, early born or late, the late degrees as well of Libra can feel it. The late degrees of Aries can feel it. So some kind of a crisis, something new, but first you release something, so something new can be born, which is a Venus nature, like love or money or something that is brings happiness of some sort, material as well in some way. But the process involves releasing something first. Collectively, Scorpio is the sign of taxes. There might be, and this eclipse shows what will happen in the next 12 months. So maybe not immediately in October, but over the next 12 months, including 2023, there can be a big relief, possibly, or big changes in the tax system in certain countries, relief of debt of some sort of countries or of individual people, which I'm hoping for, or some big change that is starting to happen in the tax system. Hopefully not going up, but it's kind of a bit hard to say because it's with the south node. I'm hoping it's kind of less, and Scorpio also rules people's investments, finances, things like stock market, things like, and then there will be an eclipse in Taurus, which is again connected to prices, to money. So we're gonna see shakeups. We're already seeing it with the prices again, crisis with money, shakeups with that. And we're going to see investments or savings that they might be under some crisis there as well. It's just the beginning. And because Mars going retrograde, a lot of astrologers, financial ones, are expecting big financial crisis on the markets as well. I would advise you pension, K40, what was it? Where you keep your pension money or mutual funds or trusts or hedges. Be careful. If you can withdraw your money, can be a good advice. If you can withdraw your money from a bank to have some cash, might be a good idea as well, because there can be big surprises there. And I think it might not be like totally you lose all your money or whatever, because Venus is in this eclipse. But the following one in November is not that easy. And because Venus is in this eclipse, if something happens with your savings or mutual trusts and investments or pensions and so on. Maybe there will be some kind of a silver lining, like the government can compensate for those things, or I'm hoping for that. But just start, you see big shakeups in those areas. So there you go, guys. And Mars going retrograde in Gemini. I talked a lot about that. They can be a big event in October or around the retrograde, the stationary period, connected to civil unrest, connected to Gemini's society as well. It's the towns, the cities, it's the people in them, and Mars is unrest. It's more violence of some sort. Fingers crossed, just be safe, I think Mars holds a very good trine with Saturn the whole time. So the situation can be under control, even if it's very much escalating. Like I said, also the situation between brother versus brother, Russia, Ukraine, especially on the stationary period, which is the whole October, can be escalating, but it's kind of held under control still because of the trine of Saturn. But when Mars starts moving retrograde, I hope that there might be some pulling back, basically in November, December, a little bit of this re-examining of the situation. Fingers crossed again. I'm not God to tell you, I'm just here trying to unfold the meanings of what is going to be happening. All right, so now let's start with the 12 signs. Aquarius, Sun, Moon, or Rising, October 2023. Hey, that's my Ascendant as always. I'm curious to see what the month brings. I never prepare in advance. I let in like the moment. I just research what the planets are. Well, huge focus, Aquarius, on our self houses. The biggest events that will happen are in the luckiest houses for Aquarius. First, fifth, and ninth houses. And there is another big event, that is the eclipse. We'll speak about it. But I'm happy to say that those houses are considered the most positive in astrology. And when there are more planets there, even if they're difficult planets like Saturn and Mars for us, it's like those difficult planets starts working for us, and they support us and they help us. And the self planets are very much because the planets will be changing direction. They will have some deep realizations about ourselves. That will be liberating. That will align us to our own truth, to the right path, to the Dharma, as they call the Dharmic houses. Dharma is what really will make you happy. What truly are your gifts and your path that the higher self wants from you, rather than your personal desires. And this is something that is like the desires of your spirit, so to speak. So you'll get some clarifications, about what is it, where you're headed. So let's start little by little though. Let's start from the beginning of the month. And we'll have more luck with the endeavors that we're doing, but let's go one by one. First of all, Mercury turns direct in our 8th house from the very beginning of the month. And if you had some complications or delays with filling out taxes, matters connected to insurances or inheritances, or receiving money from others, clients or whatever, if there was some delays or problems, or things not going so well, or some rebudgeting, if you've done a rebudgeting with your partner or some changes, or if there were problems with your partner's finances, all of those start improving from the beginning of the month. And if you've been working hard on something, especially using a lot of your skills or research, especially, you might start seeing the results of that. Because 8th house is house of research, maybe some secrets that came out to the surface, or maybe some deep realizations. Again, Mercury changes directions, and those deep realizations are no longer disturbing you. They kind of make you even emotionally stronger, because it's in the house of emotional strength. Plus, I don't know about you, but with Mercury retrograde in my 8th house, I went crazy researching astrology and researching all kind of a conspiracy theories, as they say. I'm just like obsessed all the time reading about that and about deep topics. So Mercury turns direct there, and you can do something useful with that information, or you can integrate it in your life somehow. And maybe stop thinking so much about such dark topics finally. And as I said, Mercury then continues to move forward in your 9th house a few days after that, where it was retrograde in September. So if there was some complications or something you've been preparing for, long-term travel, trip, everything starts going really well there. Or legal documents start going well. Anything connecting legal matters, documents, papers, starts really improving and flowing for you, Aquarius. Or higher education as well. There's plus huge activity happening in this ninth house in October. So a lot of focus on some of you, maybe on travel, maybe on teaching. Like all October, I'm preparing teaching materials. I'm preparing your ninth house rules the future. I'm doing predictions for you for 2023. I've been recording them. So some of you, I'm not saying all of you will be doing that, but this is how it's playing out for me. But some kind of a lot of focus on preparing for the future, on clarifications, getting clarifications. Also receive a lot of clarity. This ninth house, when the planets start coming out of your eighth house, where we're a bit darker and we think about more painful, difficult, scary things, well, the ninth house lightens up the energy. So definitely we'll feel more inspired, more positive. All these inspirational houses, the first, the ninth, where you see all the changes are happening, you start feeling more positive and having more faith. Because our planets in the eighth house, we kind of research mode, very deep, dark mode. We kind of gravitate towards the darker topics and themes. But now you feel like, ooh, I'm more connected to spirit. I'm more connected to God. I see the bigger picture. I see how I fit there. I see where my future is going. So some big clarifications, aha moments, being aligned, things flowing, so to speak. And any activities about Mercury will be visible in your ninth house. If you're teaching, writing, educating, or traveling, will go very well. And then the next big thing is that Saturn is turning direct in Aquarius. It's pretty much on the 18th degree the whole of October. That can be life-changing time for those Aquarius that are born from 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 degrees of Aquarius, those 4 or 5 degrees, because Saturn is staying there at those degrees. Very strong influence, very strong power, some life-changing decisions, maybe some tests for those degrees in particular that I feel they're very strongly tested. But from the 23rd, Saturn changes direction and starts moving away from those degrees. So they'll start feeling a lightening up. And they've passed the test, whatever it is. But for all other Aquarians, they'll feel when Saturn starts moving direction, first they'll feel like they're slowing down and time is stopping, and it's like their mind is starting to shift, their outlook overall is starting to shift. And I think those planets in the ninth house are helping us be in a more positive state of mind. And then Saturn starts moving in a different direction, and it's not going to be retrograde again in our sign, Aquarius, for 28 years. So it's the last of the test. And when Saturn is retrograde, it's more testing than when it's direct. It's more difficult overall. So especially those of you who've been having some health issues while Saturn was retrograde, like I've been sick so much, and Saturn's been in my first house, like showing me that I am mortal, that I can age too, that that I have to really rethink my health and how I live my life. Well, now Saturn starts moving direct. Hopefully, if you've put the right efforts, the health problems will start easing off. More energy will start coming to you. Some blockages, if you felt blocked or unclear where you're headed, will start clearing up. If there was too many heavy responsibilities or duty or stagnation, or feeling overwhelmed, it will start easing off those burdens. Or if things were just moving too slow, from the end of October and into November day, you start noticing forward movement, things happening more according to how you want them and according with your will, without external blockages, more in alignment with where you see things going. And if it's your sun in Aquarius, you might, especially on those more difficult degrees, but all Aquarius, you can start feeling that improvement from the end of October with your career, with the males in your life, with authority figures in your life, with your vitality, with your confidence, with your luck overall in life. If it's your moon, with your emotions improvement, easing off of responsibilities and duties at home, or in relationships with women, or with your family and mother and female figures in your life, or just overall relationships, that the painful situations, they are very difficult, the block situations are starting to resolve. Still, Saturn will be now assigned till March 2023, but it becomes lighter when it's no longer retrograde, because the retrograde is when we get our ass kicked the most and when we learn the best lessons. But those of you Aquarius who've been working hard in the last few months during the Saturn retrograde on something, slowly chipping away, changing some habits, using willpower, using perseverance, using reasonability, who's had their ass kicked and had some, hopefully some, humble themselves a bit. When Saturn starts moving forward, it will give us the rewards and the results of our actions. It will give us basically the results of our efforts, previous efforts, and things will start moving forward. If you've been working hard on building something, the Saturn transiting from one sign is often about putting new foundations. Well, now you start seeing them above the ground. Now you were digging underground for the foundations, and you felt like, I've been working so hard and no results. Well, Saturn starts moving forward, and you're gonna start seeing what you've been building manifest. Start giving results. Well, this is good news. Then the other big event is that Mars is turning retrograde at the very end of the month, at the very end of our fifth house. Again, it's a supportive aspect to Aquarians, and they'll feel it strongly, usually also those later born Aquarians, from 20 to 25, 7 degrees. But all Aquarians, basically, they'll notice that there's a strong focus in the whole of October, because Mars is almost stationary. A strong focus on children, strong focus on, like, my children have been going crazy since Mars went into my fifth house. They're just so unruly, and something has to change. So maybe that's when things escalate and I decide something has to change. But of course, be careful around the retrograde period, the stationary retrograde period, that there's not some problems with children in their life, or that there's not some stresses in your romantic life. Maybe you have to, during the retrograde period in November and December, to rethink your romantic situation, or to revisit some old places, or to redo some old favorite things you used to do. But there might be some crisis as well for certain people. Others can indicate, when Mars starts going retrograde, a lot of focus on some creative project, something that you've already started, that you're putting 3 times more energy than any times to fix, to improve. It will require a lot of your communication skills, intellectual skills, and it might be like some working on some project that is your baby. Like, I'm be putting those 3-4 months of Mars retrograde, 2.5 months, final touches, and working very hard on a project I've been working creative, my personal ideas, for the last 3 years. So now it's like it will be the peak time, this Mars retrograde, but things can go slower with those creative projects that you have with those. It's not necessarily that it's some painting or drawing. If you have your own business and it's your own idea, that's your creative project, that you might be putting extra effort and correcting, fixing, and the final result might not be at all what you imagined initially, but Mars will perfect it and make it even better. So just be patient, starting and use that concentrated energy of Mars when it's retrograde to really perfect, to put final touches to something you've been working on creatively, whatever, some idea of yours, to rethink it, to redo it, even if there are complications and it's stressful. Bear with me, and after January the 11th, January the 15th, you'll start seeing the results after that. And if it's your romantic life that's being questioned, then you have to rethink something. Again, the most critical periods are during the turning points of Mars. So something can shift in your attitude towards a partner romantically, or in an attitude towards a child, if you have a child, or in an attitude about getting pregnant. If you've never wanted to get pregnant, you might start thinking, actually, I want to get pregnant, because the planet is changing direction in your fifth house of children. Or maybe If you wanted to always have children, Mars changing direction, you might be like, now I see it from a different direction. On another level, past loves can come back, or the memory of past loves can come back to be rethought and reimagined, or having closure in. But sometimes it's actual physically that someone can come. And plus Mars, while it will be a retrograde in your fifth house, it keeps asking, don't forget to have fun, maybe to put focus on some sport that you enjoy, on some hobby that you do, because it's a very positive house after all. And Mars wants there to really help for you, to help you find which are the best sports for you, which are the best hobbies, which are the best activities that make you feel more alive and excited. And of course, we have an eclipse again. So you see all inspirational houses. The first of self and health, though. The ninth of inspiration, teaching, feeling more positive. The fifth. Oh, Mars, start moving direct. I can't take it anymore. Get out of Aquarius. It's just killing me. I've been so sick all the time. Okay, so, and then the other big thing that's happening for Aquarius is an eclipse. And this eclipse is happening in our 10th house on the 25th of October. Again, maybe not necessarily all Aquarius will feel it. It's a new moon eclipse, which means something new, it's coming, something powerful in regards to their career. It might be a new project, and it might be for the next 6 to 12 months. But it might start with a crisis in regards to career, in regards to work, but there's silver lining because Venus is part of this eclipse, so it's bringing positive results eventually. And it might be some crisis happening with an authority figure, boss figure, father figure in your life. But again, it's bringing something new there that will be your own personal authority, maybe, that will be born of some sort. So pay attention. This will be a huge focus, this career sphere or authority figure in institution sphere. But I kind of feel hopeful because of the trines that the other planets are holding for us. But this eclipse holds much longer influence for 6 months to 12 months when the planets will have shifted by then. There is a big sign here. Something big is going to change with your social status, with your ambitions, with your career, with authority father figures or boss figures in your life. So there we go, Aquarius. This is the horoscope for you. I think it's positive, but of course, we can never be 100%. These are general horoscopes. So God bless you and take advantage of this October. Do the best of it.